What up, everybody? Iron Sun. Don't shoot the messenger. This is something this was very impromptu. Very short stream, maybe 10, 15 minutes. I just wanted to address something. I watched a video with an Ultimate Fighter, and he was talking about how his friend self-deleted. And he was sharing a message to the audience saying, hey, if there are men out there who are there are men out there who, you want to talk, go ahead and talk to someone, because we'd rather you talk than have someone talk at your funeral. So I wanted to talk about possible reasons other than the obvious in the manosphere why guys might actually keep some of that stuff to themselves, to the point of self-destruction. From my own experience, just something off the cuff. I didn't actually prepare anything for this. This is just something I thought of just straight from the jump. So I can see they're talking about the thumbnail. Yeah. I didn't expect. So when it comes to expressing emotions, as a guy, at least outside of expressing emotions to a woman, which guys feel the most comfortable and the least comfortable expressing their emotions to women at the same time, because they feel like they're not. They're not supposed to talk to women, but then they also are emotionally, like, their emotions are invested the most in their women. So it's a really interesting thing. But when it comes to just people outside of women, like best friends, uncles, aunts, mothers, fathers, things like that, there's some behaviors I can't think of just offhand that would lead to it's interesting. I didn't really have an archetype. What's up, Penguin, JR, GM. So anyone in here, this is just an impromptu thing. I was thinking about something, and I thought I should get this idea out before I forget it. Don't shoot the messenger. The idea behind it is there are people who open up to us, and in this particular case, we're talking about men, because men don't like to open up to people. And there are times where people will open up to you, particularly men, and there are little things that people do that kind of shuts that vault. So if you could think of guys' emotions as a bank vault. So whenever they're with a new person, the vault is cracked, right? Or it's closed. But then as a person gets to know the guy, he opens the vault, or at least he twists the vault to where it's possible for it to open. And maybe after a while, like let's say after a couple of months, after a year, he'll crack the vault so the person can at least see that he's a human being, right? It's like, yeah, I can connect with you and things like that. But then there are tiny things that we do, or that, yeah, we do as people to other people without knowing it. There are very similar to how I think I've talked about how women, when they're about to break up with you or something like that, or like months beforehand, they kind of have this stored data of things that they don't like about what you're doing, about what you did, things like that. It's like they're building up a case, right? And then it kind of reaches a fever pitch. But after it reaches a fever pitch, then they kind of go through the process of litigation. Like, you don't know this is going on. They're like, okay, I gotta debate to myself why I'm getting rid of this guy, and then mentally she's like, okay, it's over, but it'll be over, and then a month later, then she'll break up with you, right? So with guys, there is also a covert process that I think goes largely unknown to a lot of people. Uh, Men are very keen to people's micro expressions when it comes to how the men are expressing themselves, because the men don't want to, they're very cognizant of their status. So I think it behooves people to respond to men in a way, like whenever they're opening up to them and telling them things about themselves, to just simply listen and say, hey, thanks for letting me know. Something simple like that. Because there are little things we do that close that vault, and sometimes the vault can never open again. So, for example, there's a thing that people do where they'll provide solutions, which is perfectly fine. And guys are okay with that. It actually doesn't cause issues. Providing solutions isn't an issue. Now, there is a difference between solicited and unsolicited, but if a person is trying to provide a solution, I think men will generally see that as a sign that the person cares. It's not exactly like a woman and how she sees that. So one of the main things I think that closes that vault, and makes it difficult for the male to express in a human way is downplaying the issue. So you downplay the issue that the person is going through. Now you can do this in a lot of different ways. One of the ways narcissists do this in particular is when you share something with them, they'll, give me a second, I'll be back. Gotta let the dog in. Hey, come here. Oh, Eric. Actually, if you want to show up on the camera, there you go. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, here's a dog, by the way, just in case y'all wanted to see that. I haven't forgot what I was talking about, but I got to put old Fido in his cage. Come on. I got to talk to you again. I'll be back. You'll be out in a second. All right. So like I was saying, I was saying that, and I'm going to be brief because I think it's probably 10, 15 minutes. I don't want to go too far over with this. So downplaying, this is something that narcissists do. So when you tell them your issues, one of the ways they downplay the issue is they'll tell you about their issues, but which isn't bad. It's not bad to do that. It could actually be empathetic. But what creates the issue is when they're comparing their problems, they're trying to compete with you. So let's just say you as a guy, you're like, oh, my car broke down and I don't know how I'm going to get it fixed. So then a person would go, well, my car broke down, this happened, and then this happened. So, big whoop, right? So emotions, like using your emotions was something, in my opinion, it's something that we have to connect and to feel passion and to care for others and to spur us into action. I don't think it was ever designed for us to compete with each other, especially when we're in a downward spiral. So when a person is trying to compete with you, on who has the worst life, that makes it difficult to want to open up to them. So that's one way we downplay male emotion, or just people in general. So how else do we, guys do this too. They'll dismiss things from their friends and they won't even know that they're doing that. So another way we do this is Yeah. Yeah, which is like it's not empathetic when someone gives you their issues. It's like a it's like a sacred thing. You're not supposed to just, throw your stuff out. Now, there's a way to do it where it doesn't come off bad. You can say, "Hey man, like that's pretty tough, right?" You can be like, "Hey, that's rough." But I believe you. One of the things you could say that will spur a guy on is like, "Hey, man, you're definitely gonna get through it. I think you, I think you got the right stuff." But if you need anything, just let me know. Um, Reassurance is something. I guess that's a positive thing, and I didn't want to cover the positive things yet, but there's not a lot of reassurance in men's lives. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of people saying things like, you know how women like to be reassured that they're beautiful, right? They like to be reassured uh, that they're worthy in terms of the physical sense, like they're attractive and things like that. Men don't get a lot of reassurance that they're strong enough to overcome whatever it is they're dealing with, because a lot of the issues that they're dealing with is something that once it's solved, the emotional process of getting through it coincides with the action of solving it. For a lot of men, we're not just sitting there trying to wallow in it. A lot of our depressive states and darkness comes from not having a solution, not having a particular direction. So one of the things we do well when someone is dealing with this is we allow them. You have to allow a person to not have direction. What do I mean by that? Person, like a guy, he tells you, "Hey, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, and I'm having these problems," and things like that. Sometimes giving direction isn't the best thing. Now, in general, I think for guys it can work, but the person is experiencing an emotion. I think you should just, I don't know. And the point of this isn't to just have the answer. The point of this is to at least try to help, right? Because nowadays, people, there's two directions that we're going with this whole men don't express their emotions thing. We're saying the red pill manosphere is saying don't express your emotions at all because it'll be used against you. And then we got the feminist liberal side saying, "Oh, express all of your emotions, just gush it all out," right? But then it's like you end up emasculating yourself and feeling even worse. And it's like, wow, like I feel so weak in my lost status and things like that. So a couple other things. So I talked about, let's see, I know someone brought it up. So minimizing the problems, JR brought that up. So one of the other ways we minimize a person's problem is we kind of have this, "It's not that big a deal" kind of thing. We say phrases that imply that. One of these phrases might be, it could be something, because women do it. Guys do it too. This isn't just a woman thing. People will say things to imply that it's not a big deal, or their tone will imply that that it's not a big deal. And what that will do is the guy will feel stupid for having brought it up, because he thinks to himself, "Wow, he thinks it's not a big deal." So it kind of like makes him look weak. And then he just kind of thinks to himself, "I gotta, I'm gonna not express these issues and I'm just gonna deal with them," which generally speaking is what men have to do, just by nature. But if you want a guy to tell you he doesn't have direction and that he's dealing with things, the best way to do that, yeah, it's life. It goes through. The best way to deal with that, or the best way to allow a person, a guy in particular, to express things, is to simply let him know he'll get through it, and to just listen to what he's saying. And when I say listen, I mean you're not. I mean, you don't have to go stuff like that. Um, there's some other ways that we downplay or kind of make it difficult for a guy to express his emotions. So as friends, when we're not available, when we get like a text from a guy, it could be something where, because guys don't want to just say, hey, I'm feeling emotionally vulnerable and stuff like that. Guys will send little messages. Like they'll text you. They'll say, hey, man, what's up? Or they'll say, hey, do you want to go shoot the shit? Do you want to go play pool or something like that? So that's the way that guys bond. That's how they emotionally process their problems, is by doing activities. So if a lot of times guys will have friends and their friends will be busy, and then the busyness of the friends and the busyness of the people around him is what will spur him to kind of keep things inside. It happens to everyone, GM, but like a lot of times we end up dismissing people without even realizing it. We talk to people in a way where, and here's the funny thing, when you do it to a person, and especially when you do it to a guy, they don't want you to think they're weak. So they're not going to tell you that you did these things. They're just going to keep it bottled up, and it'll be there forever. It won't go away. They won't forget what they felt like in that situation. But then that's kind of what drives guys to go deeper and deeper into locking that vault. One of the biggest things in the modern day, outside of just being dismissive to a person, is shaming. So shaming for a guy, at least, because there's a lot of that coming from feminism, a lot of that coming from women, a lot of even that coming from other guys too. And doing that I think that's probably one of the most dangerous, because you get guys who are called misogynists when they try to bring up issues that they're dealing with regarding women, regarding some of their frustrations they have with elements of their lives. When you shame a guy for that stuff, he still has the same problems. The problems don't go away. He just learns that you're not a person that he can talk to about these problems, and it might even make him resent you. But you end up becoming part of the problem. A lot of the people, the feminist groups and things like that, when they're talking about, guys should open up more, these are the same people shaming the guy and demonizing him and saying, oh, your masculinity is unwanted. You're a misogynist because you criticize women and things like that, and you have frustrations with women, and you're resentful of the way that you've been treated by women. That makes you a misogynist. The fact that you're resentful and you are critical of the ways you're being treated. So there's also an element of gaslighting in there, which kind of teaches the guy that people don't fundamentally have his best interests at heart. They don't care about how he feels. His emotions don't matter to people. And the way that he understands, the way that he gets to that cognitively, is that other people don't really walk with him. Because generally speaking, when guys have frustrations with people, there's a logical reason a lot of times. And so as a person, one thing you could do is walk along with the steps that the guy is going through as to why he believes why certain things are, the reasons why he has the frustrations. Allow him to walk you through the steps of why he believes a certain way. And once he walks you through the reasons why he believes that, and then, you can give him feedback, sure, but don't dismiss it. Just say, okay, you're saying this is this. Okay, you're saying this is this, and then that's that. and then you say this is this and this is that. Okay, that's it. You don't have to shame the guy or be like, well, why would you believe that? I think you're misogynistic. I think you have a problem with women. It's like, yeah, of course he has a problem with women. But if you can listen to what the person is feeling and you can kind of say, okay, well, why do you think that? And they tell you why they think it. Now, if you don't punish them for telling you why they think it, then they'll be more comfortable speaking to you. But if you give them an air that you're gonna punish them for just having thoughts about how they feel, uh, what they believe, then that is gonna create. That is what's gonna eventually lead up to the guy, the possible self deletion and things like that. All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I had someone come pick up a package. It got shipped to the wrong front door. Yes, there are external forces at play, and I'm well aware. Uh, but I don't want to get into those on this particular stream. Yeah, here's the problem with that, GM. Women don't have really any ability to empathize with men for the most part. Their ability to empathize is based off of their own experiences. So women understand men's experience through their own, so they'll never really understand men, essentially. Uh, hold up. Alrighty. I think I pretty much covered everything outside of this. Uh, yes, women are problematic, but one thing I'll say is things are getting better. There's a lady on YouTube, and I know people would say chameleon and stuff like that, but there's some women making content on TikTok that is starting to make me hope for better things. Of course, there is a lot of social conditioning or social programming, uh, which is what JR is alluding to. But trying to think of a couple other problems. One of the other issues, which Good Mother alluded to, as to why men are not really, they're adapting by just cutting off their emotions. Women don't seem to, just as a group, because I know a lot of times women will get offended and be like, no, I care about my husband or my boyfriend's emotions and stuff like that. It's like, I think a lot of times guys, their emotions start to die out after they've tried to go all in on a major relationship or something like that. And then the woman just kind of up and disappears. I think they kind of think that guys think like them. Women are capricious, right? So they're chasing emotional highs. And so whenever they go out to get that emotional high and low, like when she leaves you, in a relationship and she goes to another relationship, then she's going to another high, right? She doesn't really see you as like, oh, that was the high. Like she's going to another high. It's like, oh, and this is another hit, right? But it's like you're basically forgotten in a way. But then the guy, when he leaves a relationship, he's not chasing a high. He's leaving something that has intrinsic value to him. Whereas women are perpetually searching for something that has more and more value. So that kind of like that chasm, I think, is why guys are kind of cutting off the emotions. They're trying to cope with being used emotionally. Emotional coping strategies. That's one of them, is to kind of adopt this. A lot of the traits that women find attractive come from guys coping with the women. Nonchalance, for example. A guy being nonchalant with a woman, a guy being closed off, he doesn't share too much with the woman. These things that women find attractive, they're coping strategies. The guy's coping with the idea that, yeah, she likes him now. And yeah, she's, curious about him. She's like, that stage where women are like, why, what are you doing? Well, can I come? Can I go along? What's going on? But then there's a stage where the woman thinks she's better than the guy. And she's like, oh, well, I already know about him now. Now I'm bored. I want to go find something else. So by being nonchalant, by not really caring too much, the guy he's allowing himself. That's the other thing I think people need to realize. By not expressing your emotions as much as a guy, you're trying to figure out how to cope with potentially losing something that has intrinsic value to you. As a guy, you're not going and trying to find the bigger and better deal female. Every female you meet who you decide you want to be in a relationship with, you decide that is a good one. Like, okay, this is the one I want. And then you go into the next relationship and you're like, this is the one I want. And then you go into a relationship and you're like, this is the one I want. Now with women, it's different. They go into relationships and they're like, this is the one I want for now. This is the one I want for now. This is the one I want for now. And a lot of women, there are women who have low counts, or women who've been with their high school sweethearts, and that's it. And that's a different story. But in this Western culture we're in, it's no wonder that guys don't want to express their emotions. And it's, it's kind of funny. It's like the most attractive qualities that guys have are just coping strategies for dealing with women. And the women are like, wow, he's so mysterious and he doesn't call me. And when I try to talk to him, he keeps the conversation short and things like that. Like I was just on the phone with this chick I'm seeing now, and like she asked me for stuff. Like the last 2 or 3 times she called me, like I was just super quick, bam, super quick, bam, super quick, bam, off. It's like, yeah, okay, bye. Yeah, okay, bye. Like not really dragging it on or anything. Let's see. So what you're saying is women would benefit from a great deal of suffering. Then they could learn to be better sympathizers. Got it. That is actually the reason. That's actually one of the main sources of a problem. There's a YouTuber named Alan Realionaire. I talk about him a lot of times because he's talking about some real stuff. He talks about how the reason why women aren't making good partners right now is because they're not lonely, because they're not struggling with anything, especially company. Lonely people make better partners because they have a fear of losing things. And I'm glad you brought that up. They don't really go through suffering as it pertains to being able to get access to people, get access to a relationship. They don't have to earn it. They don't have to work for it. And that's kind of what it's partly what's causing the issue. It kind of it spoils them in a lot of ways. Same thing is true for men, by the way. You have players, right? You have guys in the top 20% who they don't have to really earn women. They don't really have to work for getting company with people. So they just treat people terribly. But then you have like the 80 percenters, right, who are perceived as low value, but part of their perception of low value is just because they treat you like a person, they treat you like a human being, because they had that fear, and that fear kind of keeps them humble. uh, Women don't have that fear, and so there's nothing to keep them humble right now. The economic situation we're about to go into is going to create that. um, but yeah, I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, so let me reel it back in. So to reel it back in, don't shoot the messenger. So when someone tells you how they feel, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, but this is particularly for a man, but there is some crossover. Just try to be aware of the things that you're typically not aware of when you're speaking to someone. Try to be mm, as non-judgmental as possible. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't judge people and I'm not saying you shouldn't shame them for doing bad things. What I'm saying is when someone expresses themselves to you, you have to treat their emotions as if it has value, especially if that person, a person being a man, has been raised to think that his emotions don't have value. You have to show the person with your actions that they have value. You can say that they have value all you want, but if you don't show the person it has value, nothing will happen. I had a conversation with my mom. I have a lot of conversations with my mom. Sometimes we fight and we get angry with each other. But this one particular time, I expressed a lot of the anger and things I didn't like about my childhood, about how she raised me and things like that. And I noticed as I started expressing, she got quiet and she just listened to what I was saying. So I kept expressing and expressing and expressing, and she didn't interrupt or anything. She just let me speak. Many times you just have to let people speak. And one thing after after they're done, after they get silent, so you can say something like, "Hey, thanks for letting me know." Well, I'm glad you told me that. So if someone's speaking, "Hey, I'm glad you told me that. That sounds pretty rough." Sympathy. You're showing a person that there is the things that they're thinking aren't worthless. And this could be the difference between a person coming to you when they're at their lowest, or just literally going in a room alone and offing themselves. Um, yeah. Part of the reason why I'm sharing this stuff is because even though I'm slightly different, I've been at these stages and there weren't a lot of people I felt I could talk to. Um, Oddly enough, it's a lot of times strangers can be the people that we feel the most comfortable talking to. Why that is, maybe because there's not anything, you're not risking anything by sharing with them. So a person shouldn't be risking something by sharing with you. Many times guys feel as though they're risking something by sharing with people. They risk they feel they're risking something sharing with women. They feel they're risking something sharing their issues with their boss, with their friends, and things like that. Some people offer help to you, but they don't even want to help you. They just want to feel like good people. And guys aren't stupid. They can sense that. So if you're going to offer someone help, you have to be actually willing to help them, because if you're not actually willing to help them, people can sense when you're on some shit. And it's, yes, you want to feel like a good person, but one of the things about being a good person is knowing your limits. Um, it's not just agreeing to things that seems to be good. Um, Women do that. Guys do that. One sex doesn't have the monopoly on this. Women will take a guy's number and will say, "Hey, yeah, let's go out," just so the guy doesn't feel bad. But then the guy doesn't get a call back, he doesn't get a text or something like that. Guys will say, "Hey, man, yeah, let's hang out," and nothing. Like, he won't get a message, he won't get anything, and the person will just forget or something like that. And there are people who can generally just deal with that, and it's not a big deal. But when people are in extreme low depressive states, that's where it becomes difficult, and that's where you got like a critical situation where the guy actually needed someone to hang out with. He actually needed someone to talk to you. And then when something doesn't go right out of the blue, everyone's like, "I don't know what happened. Like, why did he why did he do this?" It's like, I don't know. And we're not responsible for the decisions that people make as it pertains to, harming themselves and things like that. But we are responsible for the good and the bad that we do to other people, and we definitely can contribute to that. So there is a degree of, we can kind of add to that and make it easier or harder for a person. I believe in not putting out that kind of energy if you don't want that energy to come back to you. And I know it's, very esoteric, and I get esoteric with my stuff. Yeah, this didn't go too far off. That's kind of the general message, is whenever someone is trying to open up to you or speak to you, treat their words as if it's the last time you ever speak to that person. That's probably the best way to get the point across. Treat the words as if that person will be gone tomorrow, and I think you'll have the best response for the person. Especially if they don't have a lot of friends, especially if they have a lot of friends, because some people have a lot of friends, but they have no one. So if I could say something that, again, just to reiterate, if you don't really know what to do with a person, you don't know how to speak to a person in a way that won't make them feel as if their emotions are unwanted, as if they're weak because, they have to always be strong around you. Treat the conversation as if the person won't be there tomorrow. They're gone. And I think you'll know exactly what to say. That's for me as well. So like when I talk to someone, whenever I'm out and about, treating a person as if that's the last interaction I'm going to have with that person could provide a lot more quality just out of the scarcity of the situation. A lot of times we try to produce quality out of the abundance of a situation, especially when it comes to like dating and stuff like that. But scarcity is actually important when it comes to human interactions, because it makes us value each other more. When we think that attention is scarce, and we think that validation is scarce, and we think that resources are scarce, I think that's a difficult one to reconcile. It makes dealing with people, it makes it have more value. Yeah, that's kind of all I got. I just wanted to bring this up. This is something that's pretty serious, since everyone's talking about mental health. And the last live stream I had with GM, we were talking about mental health, male mental health, and how it is kind of all over the place and there's not a lot of solutions. And we're also talking about how the psychology field is starting to be largely populated by women, and how what this means in the future for male psychology and understanding that, and actually providing resources for men, is that it's going to be difficult. Hey, Lawrence. So it means it's going to be difficult to find resources for men outside of just people, outside of people, which guys don't really connect very often with people. They just kind of deal with things themselves. That's what I got. Don't got much more. I'm gonna read some comments and kind of just go and deal with stuff right now. I really like what GM brought up though. She kind of cut through a lot of what I was saying. Women would benefit from a great deal of suffering, then they could learn to be better sympathizers. Got it. And here's the problem with that, GM. Women are wired to be concerned with their problems. So we would have to make it their problem. You notice women become very interested in male issues when it pertains to one of their kin, when it pertains to their uncle, their brother, or their son, especially their son. Then that's kind of when they realize that, oh, wait a minute, this is connected to me. Like this issue, I think women's cognitive awareness of other issues other than themselves, it starts to grow, or it becomes easier for them to be aware of it when it actually pertains to their kin, the people that they're related to, people that they actually have a very strong connection with. So the interesting thing about that is that it kind of shows me that a lot of them don't arrive at a natural empathy for guys just off of seeing the things that are going wrong with guys. But in a way, it makes sense. They're wired to get as much empathy from others as possible in order to ensure their own survival. So if that whole "I'm a victim" thing and the whole communism thing, it would kind of be impossible without women, because they're kind of the predominant, me. I need things, help me because I'm helpless. Guys don't naturally want to be helpless. Thank you, JR. Yeah, I'm glad it didn't go too far. It was supposed to go about 20 minutes, but at least I said something. This is very extemporaneous. I'll probably talk about male mental health more in the future. There's a couple of guys I know that are going through. There's a guy who, the point he's at, after his ex, he's kind of a wreck. I haven't talked to him in a while. I'm wondering if I should reach out to him. He's in Austin right now. Last I heard about him, he was doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm curious to even know if he's still alive or if he's still in good health. So I think maybe I should just check up on him and see what's going on. And this was a guy who was actually helping me after my breakup and after that stuff. A lot of this whole male mental health stuff, the greatest fallout for a lot of male mental health is their romantic relationships. That's where most of the issues lie. It's not just the everyday problems that the guy is dealing with. It's dealing with the everyday problems in light of social isolation, in light of not feeling like you're needed or wanted by people, or trying to deal with the wounds of your past. I don't think guys have an issue with dealing with normal things in life, like getting a job and doing this and doing that. Now, granted, there are barriers that are in guys' way, like, like like if you're a white guy, then you're the scum of the earth, right? Apparently you're the scum of the earth, and trying to get a job, trying to take a job that Sally Mae wants, you're like the enemy for that, right? Everyone is the enemy, and everyone fits within uh, this weird caste where it's like, oh well, we got women at the top, or we have the alphabet at the top of them, and then we have this at the top, and then we have white guys at the bottom because they were always at the top. That kind of mindset, fitting in that kind of pathological world, it takes its toll on men, especially white men. I know people listening to this, especially the black people, might be thinking like, oh, what, like white men, like they've owned everything. um, yeah, that's what I got. In the future, I'll try not to go too far with the time. I'll try to do it 20 minutes. I probably should have showed that this was going to be a discussion. I didn't do that. I'm going to review some of the comments, and I'm going to go run some errands. I don't see anything. So I'm going to guess y'all are at work. I don't know. I'm guessing. Looks like that's my cue. All right, guys. So I'm out. So just as a wrap up, because I'm about to have some company, if there's a guy in your life or just a person in your life, don't shoot the messenger. Don't be the one to make the person secretly wish they never said something or wish they never felt a way. And I guess the best way to do that is to kind of just it's okay to treat guys like they're sensitive. Guys can be sensitive too. You can treat them like sensitive. It doesn't take away from their masculinity. It only takes away from their masculinity when you presume that they're not tough and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I'll probably throw out some more ideas in the future, but y'all have a good day. Thanks for coming out.